Ranking every arc of Dragon Ball Z. I have recently read through the entirety of the Dragon Ball manga, including its Z portion. Now that I'm refreshed, I thought I'd rank all of the Dragon Ball Z arcs in order. I'm going to merge all the tag-along arcs into one, so that way there's only 4 parts to organise. And yes, I am going to discount the Garlic Jr. arc, not because it's bad, but because you wouldn't like where I placed it. I don't think this will surprise anybody, but number 4 has got to be the Boo arc, right? Don't get me wrong, it's got some absolutely epic character moments. Boo is a really cool villain, but the entire arc is just all over the place. The Boo arc is so long, and that isn't necessarily a problem, but I think we could safely say that this arc takes its time getting to where it needs to be. And as we know, behind the scenes, Toriyama had very little editorial control, and when Toriyama goes full Toriyama, it's crazy. But this is too crazy. Number 3, the Frieza Saga. Ooh, I know. This will upset some people, I'm sure, and I personally find it really hard to put the Frieza Saga second from last. But I think the anime portion has really wacky, inconsistent animation. The filler drags like sin. Like, how long was he charging that spirit bomb in the anime compared to the manga? I believe in the manga it was 2 chapters. In the anime, what 4 episodes? But it's not necessarily fair to judge the entire story based on its anime adaptation. There are a lot of things outside of the creator's control, and there's lots of things I love about this arc, like the Super Saiyan transformation, for instance. How the villains swap in and swap out and it still feels so organic and so natural. Frieza is the most iconic Dragon Ball villain of all time, but from the moment Goku turns Super Saiyan, all the desperation is gone because they build him up to be absolutely invincible. It kind of reminded me of Dragon Ball arcs in the past. So prior to the time Goku fought Tao Pai Pai, he basically had no competition, and his first real near-death experience is by Piccolo. And it's not like it's a bad thing Goku being in full control. I think it's awesome. Like, that Super Saiyan moment is so badass. But I personally like the arcs where everyone comes together and they don't just rely on Goku saving the day. I like it when everyone has a part to play, and in the Frieza Saga it just seemed like a lot of iconic characters got brushed off to the side. And yes, you could argue that during the Namek Saga at least people are shown to be on King Kai's planet training. It just doesn't feel the same. From the moment Goku turns Super Saiyan, the danger is over. Again, not a bad move, love the arc, but that leads me to my second favourite Dragon Ball Z arc, and that is the Cell Saga. The Cell Saga would have been the perfect ending to Dragon Ball Z, mainly because of its anime adaptation. So Cell is a combination of all the villains and all the heroes that came before, and Gohan being the one to beat him shows that he has not only surpassed his father, he has surpassed Frieza, he surpassed King Cold, he has surpassed the androids, he has surpassed Trunks, he surpassed everyone that came before him. That's cool, it's a proper handing the torch moment, and in its anime adaptation where everyone gangs up on Cell right at the very end, I love that everyone has a part to play, and as they reminisce on what Goku and Gohan mean to them, it starts to complete their character arcs, including Goku's. People shit on Toriyama for making stuff up on the spot and not having every detail planned out from the start, but this proves that you shouldn't have every detail planned out from the start, because the Cell Saga had a lot of editorial control. I believe Toriyama had 2 editors at this time, and with their feedback, he constantly changed the direction where the story was going to go. So we swapped 19 and 20 for 17 and 18, swapped 17 and 18 for Imperfect Cell, we forced Imperfect Cell to transform into Perfect Cell, leading to an arc that has so many twists and turns, so many plot twists. It's just peak. Also, credit that they introduced time travel to the story without completely breaking the plot. How many series can say they've done that with a straight face? But the problem with this, with Cell being a legacy villain that combines all the other villains, and the heroes for that matter, I feel like that plot element relies on what came before to make it cool. Plus, the anime adaptation of this arc is dreadful at some points. The characters genuinely look like scribbles. This is why I'd love a remake of Dragon Ball starting from the original arc. Give us Dragon Ball Brotherhood, damn it. So with that in mind, my number 1 pick, which you'll have already figured out by now, is the Garlic Jr. Saga. Obviously that's not true. The Saiyan Saga. So what makes the Saiyan Saga so good in my eyes? Well, at this point it hasn't strayed too far away from the OG Dragon Ball formula. However, things have rapidly shifted. You get the insane plot twist that Goku is in fact an alien, and that's why he's been so much stronger than all the Earthlings around him. But then you learn that that's nothing compared to what else is out there, and it opens up so much of the world. We've explored all of Earth now, we've gone to Korin Tower, we've seen Kami's Lookout, we've gone to heaven. But what if you could go to the real heaven? And what if that heaven was just the north of heaven? And what if above that heaven they had yet another heaven? The wacky elements of Dragon Ball that we all take for granted kind of start here, and let's be honest, more than half of you here started watching at this saga and have never watched anything that came before it. So that shows to me that unlike Cell, maybe unlike Frieza, the Saiyan arc can stand on its own merits. It doesn't rely so heavily on throwbacks, but you can't understand it without seeing what came before. And now I know this part doesn't affect the manga, but the animation is so consistent in its adaptation. From Dragon Ball to the end of Dragon Ball Z, that was consistent consistently probably the best looking arc. And obviously, Vegeta is such an amazing foil to Goku. It contains all the previous characters from the previous arc. It doesn't really forget anybody except Lunch. And honestly, watching all of these characters get mauled by Nappa really easily, that absolute sense of despair at that point was only really rivaled by the Piccolo saga, and it came nowhere close to this. And to see Piccolo, the last arc's villain, get wiped out by Nappa and have such an amazing change of heart, it's just good. Like, it's just amazing. It doesn't really have any fault. It introduces all of these new concepts without relying on anything that really came before other than its characters. And the final battle against Vegeta really does feel like desperation. Everyone has a part to play, like even Yajirobe. Goku's not even the one who defeats Vegeta, it's Gohan and Goku begging Krillin to spare Vegeta so he can selfishly fight again. Kind of cements Goku's entire character, right? If Dragon Ball had ended at this point, I don't think it would have necessarily been a bad thing. That was my top 4 Dragon Ball Z arcs, and I'm sure you hated it. Please comment below what you think I should think.